We missed seeing him at the airport, so we saw him at the University of Detroit that evening. And it was one of those large lecture halls that sloped down from the rear toward the front with a stage in the front. And I was standing in the front, right front, next to, I think, Gokula Prabhu, mechanic for the Radha Damodar buses. And at a certain point, we heard a muffled kirtan, so we all turned toward the rear of the auditorium. And we looked at the right rear doors, and we could see just the tips of dundas and a couple of devotees' heads who were pretty tall. And so obviously the group was coming toward the center doors, so our eyes automatically went toward the center doors. And the doors opened, and I saw Srila Prabhupada, and he was so radiant and effulgent. When I was young, I used to read a book called Lives of the Saints. I was raised Catholic. And so I always noticed I was noticing some of the qualities that were common with the saints. They radiated peace and power because of their intimate connection with the Supreme. They were concerned for the welfare of others, and they were able to create miracles in the lives of others. So when I saw Srila Prabhupada, that's exactly what I thought of. I just was like struck, whoa, this person is obviously intimately connected with the Supreme. He's radiating peace and power. And I sensed that he was concerned for the welfare of others, and he could perform miracles in the lives of others. It was an overwhelming sense of joy, relief, and that realization. And so actually I began to cry a bit because I was just overwhelmed. But that was the realization that the saints are not dead. The saints are alive and well. The apartment for Srila Prabhupada was around the corner. And so there were darshans in the evening. My godbrother, Jyotir Dicha, made a nice garland for Srila Prabhupada out of some of this sterling silver pieces that we used for our jewelry business, flowers, and then Lakshmi, bills. So he made this wonderful garland. And so he said, let's go take this garland to Srila Prabhupada at the darshan. So we go around the corner, and I'm carrying the box with the garland in it. Jyotir's a step in front of me. So we go up to the door, knock on the door. The door opens, and Prabhupada's seated in those familiar poses, low table, cushions behind him, leaning back on the cushions with his knees up. And he's looking very, very regal and saintly. And so Jyotir turns around and takes the garland out of the box, puts it around Prabhupada's neck, and pays obeisances. And so I'm standing in the middle of the room with an empty box, with my mouth open, looking at Srila Prabhupada, just, stunned, overwhelmed. And so Prabhupada looks up at me and says, and what is in the box? And so I look in the box and look at him and say nothing, and everyone just laughed. They just laughed. They thought it was must have thought I was foolish. But someone explained to Srila Prabhupada that I had carried his garland in the box. So from that point forward, what I've been trying to do is put some service in the box, so that the next time I see Srila Prabhupada, I can say, here, Srila Prabhupada, this is what is in the box, some service that I have rendered to you. After Jyotir had given the garland to Srila Prabhupada, we sat down, and the room was full, and it was kind of a quiet space. No one was asking any questions, and Prabhupada was sitting back. And someone knocked on the door, and an old Indian woman came in. And Prabhupada looked at me and said, go get her a chair. And so I was struck by that. I was struck by the way that Prabhupada was so aware at all times, it seemed to me. And so when he said that, of course, my thought was, I need to get that lady a chair. And so before I could get there, someone else passed the chair over, and so I sat back down. But I always remember that and think that I need to protect and care for my wife, my sisters, my daughters, my mothers, that should be something that should be done. So that's what I took from that instruction that Prabhupada gave me, the only one. Go get her a chair. Over the next 3 days, Prabhupada, of course, gave class. And this is the old temple on East Jefferson. And my godbrother, who brought me to Detroit, Jyotir Prabhupada, had made a pelican for Srila Prabhupada. And the pelican was inside the front door to the left in a big open closet. So Prabhupada came in the first day and he looked at the pelican, and then he just went upstairs to the attic that had been reconverted into the temple room. And so on the third day, Prabhupada came in the front door and he looked at the pelican and he actually went and sat on it. And I was thinking, oh, Prabhupada's sitting on the pelican that Jyotir made for him. So he sat sideways. Brahmananda Prabhu went over and touched Prabhupada's legs, indicating that he should turn. And so Prabhupada turned and crossed his legs and sat regally on the pelican. And so the devotees called for myself and Jyotir and 2 other devotees to come and carry the pelican. And I was, of course, quite, quite nervous. As I touched the handle to the pelican, sweat beads popped out on my head. I was thinking, oh, we can't drop Prabhupada because that would be the end of the world. So as we all stood up straight, I was the tallest person. And so I had to kind of scrunch down a bit to make it level. And I was thinking that we have to make things nice for Prabhupada. We can't inconvenience Prabhupada or make him uncomfortable. And so we were all different sizes, and I don't know, probably came to the movement at different times, but none of that mattered then. What mattered was that we didn't inconvenience Prabhupada in any way. So we carried him across the floor, up 2 steps, there's a little platform, and then turn left and go up the stairs, going toward the 2nd floor. And so we were all, I was thinking that, we can't drop Prabhupada. And we have to watch his head's coming close to the ceiling. So we came up to that 2nd level, and we couldn't go up any farther with the pelican because the stairs become more tight as it's an old building. So we had to let him down. He got off the pelican and went up into the temple room, and of course we grabbed flowers from the pelican. But my thought was that if we look at ISKCON as Prabhupada's body, then we're all helping to carry that body. We all have to cooperate in order that Prabhupada's not inconvenienced at any point. So that was the realization I had from that particular thing. We have to really work together. It doesn't matter our size, shape, when we came, what our different services might be, but they all have to be coordinated in such a way that Prabhupada's movement grows, Prabhupada's not inconvenienced, Prabhupada's not upset by the way we act and treat each other. So that was the realization. The thing that really stuck out for me was Prabhupada's concern for the welfare of all of us. And he made such a great sacrifice. I mean, I can't imagine what it must have been like. I did sail, actually, as a young person in my 20s on a ship and experienced a storm, etc. But I can't imagine what it must have been like for him to make that sacrifice to come to a place that he didn't know anyone, didn't have any money, was depending completely on the Lord. And it obviously, he had to have a great sense of compassion and great concern for others, other than than for his own comfort. Otherwise, he would have stayed in India. So that's one thing that really sticks out: the great sacrifice he made to give us information that will save us. Je anilo